Man United unexpectedly have won the FA Cup finale. To be honest, it wasn't unexpected, but I did have a hunch that they might undo what Man City have been doing this season. United's second trophy under Ten Hag. What a statement to put out there, bro. Sir Jim Ratcliffe had already spread those rumors around that Ten Hag might be facing the sack after what a disastrous campaign you had, right? This season you were eighth in the league, but you still retained the trophy. You won the FA Cup. Arsenal have won nothing. Now, relatively, where do you think you guys stand? Share your feelings, bro, your thoughts. I know you're in a very happy mood, so I'll just let you take the stage and share it all.
Yeah, I've been writing diss tracks since this win, right? However, man, listen, I don't know if it was a leak yesterday in terms of the media stating that Ten Hag would have been sacked regardless of if he won the trophy or not. I think the most important thing is that he went into this final preparing the team to win the trophy. I know that it's a good Man City team, whatever the case is, one of the best in the world, the best in England, obviously. But still, you have to be confident in yourselves to go out there and get a result against a team like Manchester City. And for as bad as Eric Ten Hag is, and for as bad as he is across the season with this team, and some of the excuses that he typically throws out, I think it's good that he won this trophy for himself as well as for the team and the fans as well. Because even if he's leaving, it's a good departing gift from Eric Ten Hag to leave us with, and before Ten Hag came to the club, we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ragnick, and Michael Carrick, couple interim managers, whatever the case is. Yeah, I mean, after Jose Mourinho left, basically, no one else was winning trophies. You know what I'm saying? So I think Eric Ten Hag winning two trophies back to back, Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. I think it's a good thing. In general, it's a trophy. I feel happy about it. And in terms of Eric Ten Hag, I know that you probably asked me should he still leave the club, and I think he should definitely still leave.
There's this one thing I respect the fact that you have a very diplomatic stance here because we know that the situation is still on a high tide. We don't know if Ten Hag is going to depart or if is he going to stay. And you're right that he's won more trophies than any other manager till now. And if he wouldn't have won this, the situation, the narrative would have been slightly different. And to be honest, I myself have deflected from that opinion that Ten Hag should not stay to Ten Hag should stay. Because if you see his trajectory, I know that your season was abysmal, but you have to bring it down to the fact that your players were injured. You've used 16 centre half pairings throughout the season. You never really had the luxury of using Lisandro Martinez or a Rafael Varane more than 5 games together, right? You played Harry Maguire more than any other defender. You played a Johnny Evans who's a veteran and who's on the verge of departing. You used one of the best talents on the pitch available in the form of Amrabat, Casemiro, right? Rafael Varane, Van Bissaka, and all these players that I've mentioned, they are on the verge of departing from United. And they have some quality to offer. The only problem was, I think, Ten Hag went in wrong with the recruitment. I personally feel a better sporting director. You had no sporting director, a little more supportive system from the board would have actually put him and molded his opinions on the right tangent. I think a manager alone cannot do the job, right? Jurgen Klopp, the reason why he stuttered was because I think he lost the support of the board, not the owners, but the board to a certain extent. I think Ten Hag never really had that support coming in from those vacant positions. So I just want to know, what do you feel about this Ten Hag verdict? Which side are you clinging on to? And your synopsis of United's season overall?
The verdict for me is that he has to go. People like to throw out the situation surrounding the injuries. Listen, man, I could care less about injuries. I mean, it's a part of the game. I've looked at teams across the Prem. Chelsea, they had so many injuries this season. They finished higher than United. Um, I think Spurs had injuries as well. Liverpool had their fear of injuries. I think there's one team I'm missing as well that had injuries. And Newcastle, they finished higher than United. They coped with their injuries and they were flexible in terms of how they went about their season. So I think it's an easy cop out for Eric Ten Hag. Obviously he wants to stay in the job. It's one of the biggest teams he would probably ever manage in his lifetime. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that Ten Hag has kind of shot himself in the leg so many times across the season with being deluded. So he has to go. It's just like Louis van Gaal when they fake up and we moved him on. So Eric Ten Hag for me definitely has to leave.
But what if you had a full squad available? I know injuries is just an excuse, but still, that's a factual statement I'm putting out there, right? What if you had a full squad available, right? The narrative would have been different because we've seen United playing good sparks and in good phases on counters because you have been a transitional team since the last 30 years, right? So if you're trying to, if your narrative is being backed by the fact that you want a manager who's playing possession based football, I don't think that's going to happen. But what I feel is going to happen is you can actually become masters of counter attacking like you were, right? You've had those seasons, 1 or 2 seasons where you've ended second or third, right? Even though you've had very shocking performances, but the results always worked in your favor, right? And the metric of performances has been on the basis of the control on the ball and the field tilt. So I think United might have lacked in those facets, but right now I think you are, man, for me, if I was a fan in your shoes right now, I would be pretty happy with what we have achieved, given the fact that we've had so many injuries and given the fact that we've had an horribly long league, right? And it has to come down to that. I don't know why do you not agree with that, but again, I can't really probe you for.
Man, I'm grateful for the FA Cup, right? But when a manager has been delusional across the season, there's no way I can trust this manager to bring this team forward. I can basically state that it's two one-off occasions that he won the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. You know what I'm saying? On a different day, Manchester City beats Manchester United. We played well on the day, obviously. I think we're the better team to an extent. However, man, if you look at Eric Ten Hag this season and the excuses that he has thrown out, plus just how the team plays, injuries or no injuries, even when Eric Ten Hag had players fit before the injury crisis, the team was not playing good. The first game of the season, Wolves, they completely ran through our midfield. You know what the manager said? The midfield isn't the problem. When every team was running through the midfield, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Luton Town, and I've been watching Luton and different teams across the season that played consistent and better football than United, more convincing football in terms of their approach against oppositions. Like they look like they know what they were doing. And I'm talking about lesser teams as well. So when people talk to me about injuries and whatever the case is, I'm like, no, I'm not buying it because even before the injuries, this United team, they weren't playing good. You look at our run in the Champions League as well. It was atrocious. Galatasaray we're losing to. Bayern Munich we're throwing away games against. And some of these other teams that were in the group. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. I don't really buy the interest thing, man. So for me, as I said, the verdict is that he has to leave for me. And if INEOS wants him, then I will back INEOS,
Right.
right? I will back INEOS.
And you've touched base on the right point, bro. I really wanted to talk about INEOS now. This is the last segment where we're going to talk about what the board can do. So, in my opinion, given their stature and given the way they proceed when it comes to a very shaky situation, I think Eric Ten Hag will most likely get the sack because you're right, rightfully mentioned that injuries can be considered as excuses for the board, but also that his philosophy wasn't fully imbibed as per the Bible that he religiously followed when it came to football and Eredivisie. Right? He preferred a possession-based model, an attacking team that had consistency, and we saw that probably because of injuries. I don't know what it is, but players like even Casemiro and even other players on the pitch, they were on and off, hot and cold. So I think that's one of the reasons. One, second, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a very cutthroat professional, and I know this for a fact that those rumors were not rumors, and probably the board did have this conversation that similar to a situation when Van Hal was sacked, right? I don't know if you've read the statements that his wife put out there in a documentary that Van Hal and Sir Alex Ferguson, they used to chill at Old Trafford in the board rooms and all that stuff. They used to eat together, and then near the time that he was about to get the sack, all of a sudden they grew astray. Their relations withered away. They stopped greeting them properly, and yeah. So, and the wife knew she had an inhibition that he will get the sack. So I have no doubt about this that Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers are not in a position where they feel embarrassed. To be honest, because we've already seen that Ten Hag rumors are out have been doing the rounds since the last 1 week.
For me, with Eric Ten Hag, I've always said to people, well, I'm saying it now. The thing with INEOS, right? People are saying, okay, he has 1 year left on his contract. Let him see it out. if Ineos is talking to Eric Ten Hag, right, and they do not believe he can be the man to bring this team forward or to implement the style of play that they want, I think it's best that they bring in someone new, and if that person fails in their first year, at least you can say we brought this manager in to do this because we thought he would have been capable of playing possession style football. However, it doesn't make sense you're going with a manager like Eric Ten Hag into next season where he doesn't really have the capabilities to play possession style football, and then he would still fail. I rather they fail with someone who is known for that rather than someone who isn't known for that. You know what I'm saying?
What I can decipher from what you're trying to say is that you prefer someone who has a more convincing style of playing football with consistency, right? You don't really mind if it's possession based or if it's transitional,
Yeah.
right? Because the managers that you're being linked with, McKenna, Dezabi, um, they mostly like playing good attacking possession based football, mostly vertical attacking, right? For a manager like, or maybe even a Pochettino would suit his style, to be honest, because your team vertically is really astute that way. You're well organized when it comes to attacking and transitional phases. So I think Pochettino is also in a pretty good position to take over.
I don't know about Pochettino, man.
You don't have faith in him. I think he's a pretty good manager, to be honest.
I heard Simon Jordan referring to Pochettino as a bridesmaid, so I think that's what he is. Mikel Arteta and Pochettino, I think they're bridesmaid managers, man. Because if you look at Pochettino, he just doesn't have a winning mentality. When he was at Spurs, he played down the cup competitions. You come to clubs like United, Liverpool, there's no room to play it down. Jurgen Klopp did it for years and he got away with it. You know what I'm saying? In his last couple, like 1 or 2 seasons, he won a couple of the cup competitions. So for me, Pochettino, he's a good guy, can develop a team, whatever the case is. But essentially, when you come to United, as you step through the door, people expect that you should win, that you should be winning trophies. It does take time to win the major trophies. However, during that time, you still have to pick up 1 and 2 trophies. And Pochettino, for me, he's just too much of a nice guy.